It started as a typical fiery WNBA game. Tensions high, physical play everywhere. But what happened next would shake the internet to its core. In the middle of it all, one name surged to the top of the trending list: Sophie Cunningham. And not because she hit a buzzer beater or dropped 30 points. No, Sophie went viral for something far more controversial: defending her teammate. After witnessing a cheap shot against one of her own, Sophie didn't wait for a whistle or a timeout. She didn't flinch. She reacted. She stepped in with a ferocity that reminded everyone what loyalty on the court actually looks like. But instead of being praised, Sophie Cunningham found herself cast as the villain. Fans didn't just criticize her. They launched a petition to get her banned for life. Her crime? Loyalty. The same quality coaches beg for. The same trait fans demand from their favorite athletes. Sophie didn't punch anyone. She didn't swing a fist. She didn't incite a brawl. She defended her team. And somehow, that act of backbone triggered one of the most absurd digital witch hunts in WNBA history. The fact that standing up for a teammate could spark calls for permanent expulsion revealed something deeply broken. Not just in how fans interpret sportsmanship, but in how they apply their outrage. What should have been seen as a player backing her squad became the spark for a firestorm that exposed far more than anyone expected. As the clip of Sophie's on-court defense spread across social media, the reaction wasn't just polarized, it was nuclear. While some praised her for standing tall and protecting her team, others lost their minds in a way that felt completely detached from reality. Within hours, an actual petition began making the rounds online. Not just a slap on the wrist kind of complaint. This thing was calling for Sophie Cunningham to be permanently banned from the WNBA. You heard that right, banned for life. And not because she threw punches or injured someone. No, her crime was daring to defend her teammates during a heated altercation. The petition accused her of repugnant behavior and tried to paint her as some sort of menace to the sport. It read like something out of a dystopian satire, as if Sophie were some raging criminal, rather than a fierce competitor who refused to stand by while her teammate got bullied. The language in the petition was so extreme, so over the top, it became obvious this wasn't really about safety or sportsmanship. It was about sending a message. But what kind of message is the league sending when standing up for your team becomes more controversial than the cheap shot that triggered it? It showed just how broken the system of outrage has become, where context doesn't matter, where truth gets drowned by theatrics, and where loyalty can be twisted into a villainous act. While most players in Sophie's shoes would have gone into hiding, posted a PR-approved apology, or tried to smooth things over, Sophie Cunningham did the exact opposite. She turned her back on the noise and walked straight into the fire. As the backlash mounted and calls for her ban gained traction online, Sophie took to social media, not to explain herself, but to amplify the absurdity. She retweeted the very petition that called for her lifetime ban and added a single, powerful response, a shrug emoji. No captions, no defense, just pure, unbothered confidence. That move didn't just silence her critics, it turned her into a folk hero. Fans began rallying around her. Her jersey started selling out, and her name became one of the most searched terms in women's sports that week. What the haters tried to use to erase her ended up elevating her. Sophie Cunningham became the face of unapologetic toughness and loyalty, someone who refused to play by the carefully curated rules of social media virtue signaling. She wasn't interested in pleasing everyone. She was interested in standing on business. And business was booming. At that moment, Sophie showed the world that sometimes the strongest power move isn't to speak louder. It's to let the absurdity speak for itself while you collect the receipts. One moment. That's all it took to make Sophie Cunningham the internet's most talked about athlete. During the heated altercation that sparked this entire controversy, cameras caught her holding off not one, but two players simultaneously. One arm stretched out, effortlessly keeping one rival at bay. The other, locked into what fans jokingly, but accurately, called a Muay Thai hold. The image went viral in seconds. Memes flooded timelines. Fans couldn't believe what they saw. This wasn't just defense, this was dominance. Sophie looked like an MMA fighter in a WNBA jersey. But it wasn't reckless aggression. It was control, total command. She wasn't swinging. She wasn't escalating. She was protecting, and doing it like a boss. It was the kind of moment that legends are made of. But instead of celebrating her, the internet's outrage machine kicked into overdrive. It's as if the same people who scream about wanting physical, passionate basketball forgot what that actually looks like. Sophie gave them exactly what they asked for, and they turned on her. But in that moment, on that court, Sophie reminded everyone that sometimes the enforcer isn't the villain. Sometimes, the one keeping the chaos from exploding is the only one who truly understands the value of composure. Let's be honest, this wasn't truly about Sophie Cunningham. The outrage, the petition, the performative anger, it was all just misdirected fire aimed at a much larger issue. Caitlin Clark's impact on the WNBA. From the moment Clark entered the league, she's drawn attention like a magnet. But with that attention came hostility. Every game feels like a battle. She's hip-checked, shoved, targeted, treated less like a rookie and more like a threat. And yet, until now, barely anyone stepped in to protect her. That absence of backup turned into a demand from fans. Where are her teammates? But when a player, any player, finally shows that kind of fierce protection for their teammate, suddenly it's too much. Suddenly, it's unsportsmanlike. Sophie Cunningham's actions exposed a deep contradiction in the WNBA. Fans want protection for Clark, but recoil the second that protection becomes real. Sophie was made into the scapegoat for a league-wide discomfort with the growing tension around Clark. She wasn't punished for her actions. She was punished for highlighting how fragile and inconsistent the culture around Clark has become. The entire backlash was a smokescreen, a way to avoid confronting the real problem. Sophie just happened to be the unlucky mirror showing the league what it didn't want to see. Let's be honest, this wasn't truly about Sophie Cunningham. The outrage, the petition, the performative anger, it was all just misdirected fire aimed at a much larger issue. Caitlin Clark's impact on the WNBA. From the moment Clark entered the league, she's drawn attention like a magnet. But with that attention came hostility. Every game feels like a battle. She's hip-checked, shoved, targeted, treated less like a rookie and more like a threat. And yet, until now, barely anyone stepped in to protect her. That absence of backup turned into a demand from fans. Where are her teammates? But when a player, any player, finally shows that kind of fierce protection for their teammate, suddenly it's too much. Suddenly, it's unsportsmanlike. Sophie Cunningham's actions exposed a deep contradiction in the WNBA. Fans want protection for Clark, but recoil the second that protection becomes real. Sophie was made into the scapegoat for a league-wide discomfort with the growing tension around Clark. She wasn't punished for her actions. She was punished for highlighting how fragile and inconsistent the culture around Clark has become. The entire backlash was a smokescreen, a way to avoid confronting the real problem. Sophie just happened to be the unlucky mirror showing the league what it didn't want to see. The contradiction couldn't be more obvious. The same fans who demand that Caitlin Clark be shielded from rough play suddenly lost their minds when a player finally exhibited that level of loyalty and fire for a teammate. They didn't just criticize Sophie, they demanded her exile. Think about that. The league is being begged for enforcers, for tough players who will not stand by while their stars get bullied. Sophie Cunningham delivered that energy. She didn't sit back. She didn't let her teammate get thrown around. She stepped up. She did what fans have been screaming for. And their response? Burn her at the stake. The hypocrisy is breathtaking. Fans say they want authenticity, toughness, and grit until they see it in action. And then they call for bans, suspensions, or worse. It's not about protection. It's about control. The truth is, many fans don't want protectors. They want obedient, sanitized versions of them. Sophie Cunningham's fire scared them. Because it was real. And realness is unpredictable. But that's what makes sports great. That's what separates competitors from content creators. Sophie didn't come to appease the audience. She came to defend her house. And for that, the audience turned on her. You want to know what made this whole incident explode? It wasn't just the petition or the overreaction. It was the obvious, glaring double standard that came along with it. Where were the petitions when Kennedy Carter elbowed Caitlin Clark off the ball? When Alyssa Thomas chokeslammed Angel Reese like it was WWE, nobody blinked. Those moments were shrugged off, spun into narratives like, welcome to the league, or just part of the game. But when Sophie dared to defend a teammate, without injuring anyone, without instigating chaos, it became a federal case. The difference? Optics. The league and some of its loudest voices only seem to care about certain moments, when it suits the narrative. If the aggressor fits the storyline, it's all good. If the protector challenges the status quo, it's time to bring out the pitchforks. That's not player safety. That's performative outrage. The WNBA has created a system where real toughness is punished, while selective aggression is romanticized. Sophie Cunningham's case just happened to be the moment the curtain got pulled back. And now, everyone's watching. In a world obsessed with PR optics, Sophie Cunningham did the unthinkable. She owned the outrage. She didn't backpedal. She didn't issue a tearful apology or post a Notes app explanation. She leaned in, hard, and the results were explosive. Her jersey sold out. Her name trended for days. She turned into a lightning rod of loyalty and toughness, and fans rallied around her. The very attempt to cancel her turned into a rocket launch for her personal brand. She became the face of unbothered resilience. In fact, she might have invented a new playbook for how to handle internet backlash. Shrug, retweet, and let your merch speak for itself. Sophie didn't just survive the firestorm, she profited from it. And not just monetarily. She gained respect, admiration, and a new tier of relevance that no PR team could have engineered. She turned slander into spotlight and noise into narrative. In trying to erase her, the mob handed her a megaphone. Sophie didn't go viral for shock value. She went viral for standing on business. And the business is thriving. This entire saga didn't just reveal the internet's hypocrisy. It exposed a full-blown identity crisis inside the WNBA. The league wants it all: packed arenas, primetime coverage, rising stars. But what they're not ready for is the drama that comes with that territory. The WNBA has long dreamed of reaching mainstream popularity, and now it's finally getting there, largely thanks to names like Caitlin Clark. But with that spotlight comes intensity, rivalries, conflict, and yes, moments like Sophie Cunningham refusing to step down. The question now is, can the league handle it? Or will it keep trying to sanitize its product for fear of offending anyone? Right now, the signals are mixed. Players are punished for showing fire, while fans are rewarded for mob outrage. That's not how you build a strong sports culture. You can't have viral stars without viral moments. And Sophie Cunningham delivered one. Instead of embracing it, the league flinched. Until leadership embraces the passion, the physicality, and yes, even the occasional brawl, they'll keep falling into these moments of chaos. The WNBA needs to decide. Does it want polite, polished personalities or warriors who bring fire? Because it can't have both. In the end, the story of Sophie Cunningham won't be about a scuffle or a tweet. It'll be about how the internet tried to bury her and accidentally made her a legend. The petition, which was meant to destroy her career, fizzled out with a few hundred signatures and zero credibility. But Sophie's reputation? It skyrocketed. She became the poster child for unwavering loyalty, fearless defense, and refusing to fold under pressure. News outlets that would normally ignore a mid-season game were now covering her story. Not to condemn, but to celebrate her stand. Fans who'd never seen her play were now watching her highlights, buying her jersey, and quoting her emoji. She didn't just weather the storm. She became the storm. The WNBA may be unsure of where it's headed, but one thing is clear. It needs players like Sophie Cunningham. Fighters, leaders, players who won't let their teammates get steamrolled while they stand idly by. Sophie reminded the world that sports aren't just about points and stats. They're about heart, grit, and loyalty. And thanks to one chaotic game, she turned a moment of backlash into a movement. The mob wanted her canceled. What they got was a queen.